James Gunn has finally responded to a hashtag sell Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix. Finally, he's giving us our thoughts. So, to give you context and give you some background, he posted this picture of Swamp Things. Of course, we know James Gunn is the new CEO of DC Studios, right? Co-CEO, really, with Peter Safran. And he posted this picture with Swamp Thing. Somebody named Uncle Fahad says, sell Snyderverse to Netflix. I've already talked a lot about it. To quickly sum up my thoughts, as a Snyder fan, as a longtime Snyder fan, I've had some certain issues with certain Snyder fans out there. I've always said from the beginning that we always had to look at it as a 1% chance, and people need to be more realistic about it. But at the same time, however, the hashtag in and of itself, Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix, selling the Snyderverse, essentially meaning that they want part 2 and part 3 to conclude the story of what Zack Snyder had originally given us with Man of Steel, BVS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. All of this was supposed to come to an end with part 2 and part 3. That's what people wanted. I personally said, hey, you know what? It looks like Zaslav's not going to go forward with it. Gunn's not going to go forward with it. I'm fine if they were to do it. But I also said it's very impossible. When you look at the business aspect, when you think of the financial aspect, it's quite literally nearly impossible. However, I do say 1% chance, 1% chance, 99% faith. That's what I give it at. But I do want to say, people, you got to be realistic. This is more than likely not going to happen. I've already gone with the mindset that, hey, this probably won't happen. And I'm going to be realistic about that, because I'm not going to put my mindset in a way where if something was to happen, I'd be disappointed, because that's not how you should live life, It's like, if you can't date a beautiful woman like Anna de Armas, then you should lower your expectations so that way you don't feel disappointed. It's like, that's the same with the hashtag. So let's see James Gunn's response. Now, I do find it weird that he responded to this tweet, because there's been so many tweets at him, but it's weird that he chose this guy right here who, he has more followers than I thought. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. James Gunn says, I have to say, this has got to be the wackiest hashtag ever since 1, Netflix hasn't expressed any such interest, although we've discussed other stuff. That's interesting. And 2, Zack hasn't expressed any interest and seems to be happy doing what he's doing. And yes, we too have talked. That is very interesting. And then the next tweet he put, he was responding to Charlie Vulture, saying, which I'll talk about. He says, he contacted me to express his support about my choices. He's a great guy. Again, he seems really happy with the massive world building he's doing right now. Now, I'm going to say this right now. A lot of Gunn's responses tend to kind of feel very PR-like. But that's usually how you feel like with anyone. Dwayne Johnson, Zack Snyder. A lot of times when these bigger celebrities talk about anything, they feel very PR. It feels like a statement that they have planned. And look, again, this is impossible. This is quite literally impossible. However, the Snyder Cut was also impossible. Let's not deny that. So the impossible can happen. Just you have to have that mindset that, hey, more than likely it's not going to happen. You should fight for it. You should ask for it. But at the end of the day, you should also be realistic about it, right? However, I'll say this about this. Let's go with number 1. Netflix hasn't expressed any such interest. I do believe that, because none of this is coming from reliable sources. No one's been saying that Netflix has been contacting it. What it really comes down to is audiences and fans are asking for it. People who love Zack Snyder's work, they're asking for this and are trying to make Netflix and Zaslav and Warner Bros. Come to some agreement. That's where it's coming from. It's not coming from an actual scooper that has actual insider information. No, this is something that was kind of came up with thin air, mainly because Netflix already has shown that they love Zack Snyder and that they're willing to work with him. Whether you're talking about Army of the Dead or Rebel Moon, where he's building out those universes, which is amazing. To me, that's the real Snyderverse. What he's done at DC, that's what his interpretation of the DC universe. But what he's doing with Rebel Moon and Army of the Dead, to me, those are real Snyderverses, and I'm gonna go support those. I'm excited for Rebel Moon. Just to hear that Zack Snyder is doing a Star Wars like movie just excites me in and of itself. We haven't even gotten a trailer, and I'm already excited. So I do believe that. I do believe Netflix hasn't said anything. Number 2, he also says Zack hasn't expressed any interest and seems to be happy what he's doing. Now, I'll say this. I do believe they've talked, because we've seen that Gunn and Snyder, maybe they're not friends, but they're at least on good terms. that they're able to, that it looks like they're on good enough terms. It's kind of like that one guy who you never talk to, who you never contact or anything, but the times you bump into one another, you kind of like, let's say you're at a grocery store, you see him, you're like, hey, what's up, how's life been going, kind of, you're acting buddy buddy. That's kind of what Gunn and Snyder's relationship is. I don't know if it's that exactly, of course. I don't know Gunn or Snyder personally, so for all I know, maybe they're like the best friends and I just had no idea about it. But I do believe, to some extent, look, if Zack was given all the money he needed to do his movies, I think he would do it because he knows there's such high demand for it. He probably wants to see his universe finished too. So I do believe, I don't exactly believe this. I do think Zack would want to. But I also think Zack is a very professional guy, that he's not about to tell the new CEO of DC that, hey, I want my universe built. Like, to me, this guy right here, Zack Snyder, he doesn't come across as a guy who is going to force Gunn. So I do believe Gunn when he says that. I do believe Gunn is being truthful when he's saying that, hey, Zack didn't really talk to him about his coming back or making his movies back. I do think Zack congratulated him, was like, hey, you know what? Good on you. The DC characters are always fun to create. And he wished him best of luck. I don't think Zack has any ill intent. Of course, you have to remember that Zack's work has been done years ago. It was not Gunn's fault. Gunn had quite literally nothing to do with the whole Zack Snyder situation, right? This was all done by a previous Warner Bros. Regime that is no longer existent in the current Warner Bros. Regime. The previous Warner Bros. Regime really fucked up Zack Snyder. They really fucked with him. They fucked with his movie. They fucked with everything that he tried to create, right? But they're gone. They're no longer there. So I do think Zack Snyder is professional enough not to see that towards Gunn and Zaslav. Unlike certain Snyder fans who like to act as if James Gunn and David Zaslav are the Antichrist, even though months ago y'all were worshiping Zaslav for canceling Batgirl. Just want to clarify that because a lot of you guys are being very hypocritical. So I do believe Gunn in this, but it does come off as a little bit of a PR statement trying to kind of soften the wounds. I do find it weird that just now he's responding to it. Maybe something major happened and he kind of felt like he really needed to really confirm it. So there's that. I will say, using the term wacky, is I've not heard that term in so long, bro. Like, you can tell this guy's like 50 based on that. And by the way, again, I'm fine with the hashtag. Go ahead, spread it. But you also have to be realistic, because I've already heard people being like, this is going to happen. If the fans ask for it enough, it is going to happen. No, it's not. No, it's not. How long have we had Restore the Snyderverse and we've yet to get the Snyderverse? It's more than likely not. Again, there's a 99.9 chance that it's not going to happen. But there's still that 1%. But, like, again, what I'm trying to say overall is it's more than likely not going to happen. And you should have that in your mind. But support it, right? It's like supporting a bad basketball team, right? You want to see your team beat the Lakers, the Nets, the Phoenix Suns. You want to see them beat the bigger teams, but you also have to keep in mind that that's more than likely not going to happen because they're far more talented. They are far more hardworking. They're far better than you. So you have to keep that in mind as a fan of sports. Same thing with movies, right? And I want to say this. This is what DC has needed for a while. DC has needed a leader that will step up and take action, because for years, post Snyder, post 2017, it's just felt like DC has had nothing. DC has not had a guy to look towards and be like, hey, what's our future? Where are we going? Ever since 2017 up until 2022, it was just Hamada and Toby Emmerich and all these pussies making the most random decisions. They, instead of confronting the issue, what they did was like little sour little bitch babies. They decided, oh, let's ignore Superman. Let's ignore Batman, or at least the DCU Batman. Let's ignore all of that. Right? And just make these other movies, which I like. I like Birds of Prey. I thought Shazam was great. I thought Aquaman was great. But at the end of the day, how can you have a DC universe and not know what's going on with Superman? The fact that it took us years to even see Superman's face is an embarrassment of the previous regime. And for years, I've been clamoring that DC needs a leader. That's what DC has been needing. Zack was a phenomenal leader. He was a great leader. But you know what? The previous Warner Bros. Regime really messed him up. And guess what they did for the last many years? 5 years. I don't know how long it's been. That time between 2017 and 2022. It's just been, oh, let's stick this to the wall. Oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, but not actually address the main issues of the DCEU. I noticed that a lot of people are trying to make out that James Gunn is this evil overlord that ruined the fans' wishes, when really that desire, that wish died years ago. It died. Yeah, we got the Snyder Cut, cool. But that wish died years ago. The wish of having all the other movies come out, all of it died. Not based on Gunn. That had nothing to do with Gunn. It all died in the hands of Hamada, Emmerich, and anyone involved with the previous Warner Bros. Blame them. And it's funny because some people are saying Gunn is worse than Hamada. Here's the difference between Gunn and Hamada, right? With James Gunn, or no, with Walter, it's like, let's say I have a piece of glass. All right, let's just pretend this hand sanitizer is a glass base, right? So let's say Zack Snyder came in, he built this base, and then Emmerich came in, or Emmerich, Hamada, whoever, they were all here, and they smashed it to pieces. Now let's pretend this is smashed to pieces. What Hamada did was he grabbed the pieces, and instead of trying to repair it, trying to fix it, or maybe buying a new one, what he did was he tugged it under the rug. Sure, you avoid that mistake for a while. You're gonna avoid it. You're not gonna hear about it. However, eventually someone will step on it, and then it will hurt their leg, and then eventually, guess what? You messed up. That's what happened with DC under Hamada. What Gunn is doing is instead taking out the pieces from under the rug, and now he's trying to mold his own universe. Right? That's what it is. He didn't break the base. He's coming back to try to fix it. Right? Whether he succeeds or not, we won't know till 2025. We won't know. But people aren't thinking about this objectively. You're playing with emotions. That's why there's certain people on this platform that frustrate me, because a lot of these people want to give you false narratives, tell you there's hope, when in reality, for years, all these people have been saying the same shit. Guess where we are now? We're no closer to the Snyderverse, right? People get mad at me. People call me a fake Snyder fan. I'm not being a fake Snyder fan. I'm just telling you the truth, and the truth hurts, right? And I want it. I want this. If Gunn was to contact me right now, he pulls up. He calls me on my Henry Cavill phone that I have right here. Yeah, that's Cavill Superman. He calls me up, right? He calls me up and says, Isaac, what do you want to do? What's the main thing you want to do? And I tell him straight up, let's finish Zack Snyder's universe. Let's finish, at least at the bare minimum, part 2 and part 3. That's what I would want. But the thing is, there's a reason why I'm not in the position that Gunn is at. There's a reason why I don't have the job that Safran and Gunn have. There's a reason, right? And at the end of the day, I'm not going to blame Gunn for it, because Gunn had nothing to do with it. But people like to use him as a scapegoat, because that's really how society works. In society, when people have complex issues or major issues in general, people like to use one guy as the bad guy, right? When Star Wars went downhill, people blamed Rian Johnson, maybe blamed Kathleen Kennedy. It's like, it's just this major blame, right? Even you see some guys, when guys get rejected by girls, they'll blame all women. Same thing with women. When women have societal issues, they blame all men. It's a running theme with humanity. It's always, we need one person to blame because we can't deal with our own issues. That's really what it comes down to, right? And while I want this, I'm also smart enough to realize more than likely it's not going to happen. The financial aspect, everything going towards it just doesn't seem likely, right? Like that, it would probably be one of the most expensive pieces of streaming content ever, because you would have to get the rights and the rentals to all these certain individual characters, these certain versions of these characters, and then you have to fund the movie, pay the actors. It's like, it's this whole major, like, hoopla. It's like so much money that I don't know if you even get it back. What it really comes down to, right? Because even if it's profitable, the amount of money that they go and spend on it, that's a lot. It ain't easy. But again, I tell everyone, just be realistic. Just be honest, be realistic, support the movement, don't shit on others, and then we'll see what happens. Right? That's really what it comes down to. But as long as you're not like him, you don't want to ever go full this guy, okay? Oh my god, bro. I'm sorry. This is terminally online, bro. This is like the most terminally online thing to do. Rule number 1, be positive. Rule number 2, don't be negative. It's like, bro, like, come on, man. Come on, like, this is embarrassing. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think? Should have James Gunn have responded or not? What do you think? Let us know in the comment section down below. And I'll see y'all in the next one.
Where do you go to? Where do you go? Where do you go to? I wanna know. How do you do it? That thing you do. Follow you blindly, I'll be your fool. Cinderella, yeah. I think I'll find your glass slipper, baby.